seems that that mistake has no respect for the quality either of the vehicle or indeed of the drivers. A number have indeed found the gravel, but most safely through it. Good to know. So the 98 car has come in. Pedro Lamy is on board. Is he staying there? Let's have a look. It's just bottles by the looks of things. No driver change. Oh, unless we joined it late. No. There we are. Great battle between himself and Ollie Gavin out front. As also the 95 Corvette is being attended to, as you can see. The 74, I beg your pardon. That is Ollie Gavin, who's also come in.
Looks like it's for a new set of slicks as well.
Line astern, he's confident enough to stay with those tyres. I imagine he picked up quite a bit of debris when he went off just a few moments ago. Had to take an entire lap because it was just as he headed towards the Dunlop Bridge, and away he goes. Happy enough, leaves a big slick stripe as he exits. But yeah, it's as you were between these two. Back on track. And just over 20, or just under 21.5 hours remaining. Corvette swapping places, and we catch up with the Viper. Not quite had the pace that we'd thought, Jeremy, the Viper. Or hoped for, I suppose.
Well, you know, I think they're playing it fairly conservatively for the first time here. They didn't really expect to be running up at the front. I don't think that would be a fair, you know, expectation to be running up at the front, but you know they want to get through the 24 hours. That's their main goal out of here. You know, they're not going for the championship. They're just here to learn, pick up data, pick up as much information as they can to come back stronger next year. I mean, they've made amazing progress. It was only, what, I think less than a year ago this car ran for the first time. They ran 2 or 3 American Le Mans Series races last year, did a huge amount of work over the winter, and then came back at Sebring. And you know, after qualifying at Sebring, they were, you know, they'd made some gains, but they weren't right up at the front of the field until race day, and then they were at the front of the field. They were running absolutely magnificently. Then Dominic Farnbacher put the car on the pole at Long Beach, so perhaps oh no, problem for number 7 car.
It is. Don't know if it's an incident or whether it's just ground to a halt.
It's just ground to a halt, I think.
Well, there we are. That's not what we want to see. Running so well as well. Nico Lapierre on board.
Well, they had some problems during the first hour of the race, and now they've got another problem as well, it would seem.
Well, it looks like he's trying to get it restarted. Lights keep flashing.
A bit better. I lost the engine. I have no engine. I lost the engine.
He has no engine. I've lost the engine, he says. And silence is the response. What a shame, because that car was going so well. Nico Lapierre beached at the side. He's managed to restart it. I don't know whether it is an electrical issue. It's anyone's guess, but we think that it's something management.
Yeah, clearly an electrical issue of some sort, because he's clearly got power now. And it looked like he had more than electric power too. So let's have a look here with the replay as he comes into the chicane behind one of the Deputy Del Piero cars, and coming out of the corner.
No drive.
Yeah, it sounds like some sort of an electrical issue. You can hear the engine still turning, still spinning there, and obviously here he is back at speed again. So he's obviously been told to shut it off, probably to reboot or reset the system and the ECU and turn it back on again. But that doesn't bode well, does it, for the next 21.5 hours? Very unfortunate.
Sadly not, because they've been running so quick and indeed doing the stints that we had hoped. 12 laps is what they've been managing.
Alan McNish, meanwhile, brings the number 2 car onto pit lane.
Just watching the 8 Toyota as well sail by, looking tidy, no problems. Here comes the 2 car right now. Alan very feistily combative, even with his own teammates at the beginning of the race. No surprise there, I don't think, but things seem to have quietened down, especially as it's Saudis 1, 2 and 3, and indeed matching their numbers, position on the track as we speak.
Yeah, I think the maybe some of the pressure is already off. Audi looked like they had a real battle on their hands those first couple of laps of the race, but this time, you know, they lap 34 this is for car number 2, so they managed 11 laps on this stint. I think that would reflect the fact that he was running a good bit slower than Andre Lotterer. Trying to hear the radio communication there. Unfortunately, we have no...
Okay, HV6.
Did you catch that?
AG6?
We don't, yeah, right, yeah. Okay, there'll be a code for the drivers to reset something on the steering wheel. There's a lot of programming options they have on the steering wheel of these cars, Damien Faulkner.
Yeah, of course, they've got lots of buttons. I mean, it's really probably akin to a Formula 1 steering wheel, if not more. But you can see he stayed out of the pits, so obviously they're confident that the ECU or whatever electrical component has reset itself, and it's back functioning, doing what it's supposed to do. And they might actually even look at something, or maybe look at exchanging something, perhaps even the steering wheel, because they're going to be due a pit stop in the next, what, 3-4 laps, something.
Well,
like
we've had a couple of ECU issues, incidentally. The first of them was with a Murphy prototype when it came in, the 48 car. And that was a misreading ECU, which was actually flagging up that they had a problem. So I think it was an oil pump problem, it said, and there was no problem with the oil pump. It was just the reader. So yeah, unfortunately, they were tricked by their own trick machinery.
I think it's like taking a kid to the doctor in those circumstances, isn't it? They get better, and then, or if they're not better, they don't know what's wrong with them, and they're very, very, very difficult to detect a problem like that.
Very wise from a man who's got no children.
I hope that's not a hint, Carlton Kirby. Now that I'm married for a month.
Yeah, get on with it. Here we are then.
No, plenty of time for those guys.
The voice of Damien Faulkner, who has joined us, of course, with Liz Halliday as our resident drivers. Liz is in pit lane. She'll be having a chat with the great and the good, and in fact the not so good, throughout the evening. We are on Twitter, don't forget, as we ride on board with this 7 Toyota. It looks fine now, and you're happy that you've got a question, Dave.
Yeah, my 700 plus followers are growing, and someone, just Owen Noonan, has asked if I will be here at Le Mans next year. Hopefully, maybe even in the booth if I do a good enough job.
We've decided we're going to invite him back if his team making is as good as he says.
Who knows?
Here we go. Lotter's in.
11 laps on this stint for Andre Lotterer, so even the fact that he was pulling away at a prodigious rate at the front of the field, able to complete 11 laps on this stop. The reason for that is that the first stint of this race, of course, difficult to get proper fuel numbers because of that extended yellow flag period, so they would have played it conservatively then. And then for the second stint, once again, they'll take it a little bit easy, particularly since they could see they were pulling away from Toyotas at that stage. And so now they realise they can run in the 11-lap stint, and that is very, very good news for Audi Sport.
Just wondering with some of these hybrid cars whether it would allow them to attack the second half, if you like, or the last sector of the track, to bring them home on emergency if they were really trying to extend their fuel range and just push it to the absolute limit.
Yeah, you don't really push and do anything to the limit at this stage in a race. Too long, too far to go. But yeah, like I say, they'll be fairly conservative on the first hit. And as usual, number 3 car comes right in on the same lap as the number 1. So all 3 Audis running to the same schedule. The number 1 and number 3 car coming in 1 lap after the number 2 car. But all of them managing 11 laps on this stint of fuel.
Well, they're pretty evenly matched, and just for the time being, at least, the timing screens as well show that they're not that far apart. 1.5 seconds is what Audi need to find, they reckon, throughout the full distance of the race, with fuel advantage to the petrol-driven Toyota. Are they getting it, Joe?
They're getting a lot more than that right now. And furthermore, they've managed to stretch their tanks to 11 laps rather than the 10 that most people thought that they might be able to run to. Yeah, no, advantage very much Audi now. And you know, that was a brilliant opening stint by both Anthony Davidson and Nicolas Lapierre, but Nicolas clearly had some problems. Both in his first stint and this last one as well, when we saw him stopped out there on the Mulsanne. He hasn't been able to get that car going. He lost about a minute, and his last flying lap, the first flying lap after the car ground to a halt, was a 3 minutes 42, which is about 6 seconds slower than he was going before that.
Yeah, just looking at his comparison
class
time with
leader
Lotterer.
here, excuse me, class leader in P2 onto pit lane, Olivier Pla, handing over that car to Alex Brundle.
Yeah, I was just saying that Anthony Davidson and Lotra separated by exactly a second, both flying at that point. So not quite the second and a half that you were looking for, but not quite sure whether the conditions, or indeed just settling into the fact that they are in a comfortable position Audi at the moment, albeit 1, 3 and 4 because of stops. Still to make a third stop, Anthony Davidson and the 8 car. I doubt it'll be long. The Morgan Nissan back out. You might say this is a sister car in actual fact. So there were 1, 2, the 24 car came in, and the sister car, number 35 car we're looking at right now. Here is the 24 car. The only way to tell those two apart, if you look at the rollover hoops above the driver's head, they're pink on the car, they're black on the number 35 car. But they were running 1, 2 before this round of pit stops, so a fabulous opening couple of hours or so on for this race for Oak Racing.
That's incredibly detailed information, Jeremy.
Well,
done your research.
That's why we pay him. Yeah, exactly. He's a colour spotter. Our friends at Radio Le Mans, incidentally, also here, and you can see the wind blowing up, a little bit of a gale at that part of the circuit, and then, well, here, quite benign. So, yeah, there's all kinds of different weather in different parts of the course. Thankfully, it's just drying up ever so slightly, and the teams are continuing to select slicks at their stops.
Yeah, I'd love to know, though, why the Toyotas in particular have been cutting their pace lately. They're running sort of 3:42s last time around. I guess it's, yeah, perhaps out on the backside of the track it's a bit more sprinkly with rain than it is right here in the Ford Chicane where we are.
Sprinkly. Yes, we were talking about the fact that the Irish have got 30 different words for rain, but so far Damon's come up with the one, which is rain.
3 minutes 47 that time for Anthony Davidson in car number 8. He's in second place, about 15 seconds behind Andre Lotra, but Andre Lotra has already made an extra pit stop than the number 8 Toyota.
We have Ollie Gavin coming up in just a moment's time. I believe Liz has found him, and you're getting a brief look at the fans that make this event what it is. Phenomenal resilience. Here's Ollie Gavin.
Oliver Gavin, you've just gotten out of the number
74 car.
74, my goodness, what is happening to me? The number 74 car, Corvette Racing. You've had a difficult time in qualifying and practice, I think everybody has. How are you faring out there now in these difficult conditions?
Well, it has been very tough, very challenging, you know, but Corvette Racing has been keeping me informed of all the changes on the track, and Brian Crucci has been spotting well. So we've kind of not been keeping on top of it. I had one moment just before I came in the pits where I nearly ran at the back of Pedro Lamy in the Aston Martin. I had to take to the gravel to miss him, but no contact between the two cars. But you know, Tommy's now in it, and he's having to deal with some very tricky conditions again. You know, it's raining now here on the front straight. But it was quite nasty to see Alan Simerson having a nasty accident directly in front of me right at the start of the race. He came out of Tetra Rouge and he just dropped a wheel on the curb of the exit. It started to go slightly sideways and he just snapped sharp left straight into the barrier. And I knew as soon as he went off and the way that the car was going, it was going to be a huge accident. And it's really, really tough. You never want to see anything like that. There was a Ferrari that was also spinning just in front of the pair of us further up, and that may have just distracted him slightly, I don't know, but it was a very, very nasty accident.
Do you feel that was just based on the general conditions? Because I know a lot of cars, some cars went out on slicks, some on inters, some on wet. So do you think that was just a conditional accident?
Yes, it had. It'd been sprinkling with rain, and it was very tricky just coming up through, you know, Dunlop Chicane, down through the S's. And we came through Tetra Rouge, and I thought, okay, it's just a little greasy, but it's not too bad. But I think the thing that got him was that he got out on the curb there and on the paint. And that just got the car sideways enough, going to the right, but it then snapped back left and he went over to the barrier on the left-hand side, and I think that the trees are very close there. And he might have actually got into the barrier, then maybe even into a tree. I saw as I drove by one time, there was quite a lot of marks on one of the trees behind the barrier, so I don't know whether that's happened or not, but I just hope he's not too bad and he gets well soon.
Well, we're still waiting on some information from that team, but we'll be sure to let you know as soon as we know something. Thank you very much.
An absolute nightmare has just occurred, Jeremy, in the GT class. 4 cars involved. 3 on one side of the track, 1 on the other.
Yeah, I think as we were talking to Oliver Gavin there, the number 74 car driven now by Tommy Milner ran off again right there up at the Dunlop curve, and the 2 other guys followed him off, Damien. Easy to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very easy to do, but I mean, obviously it's very greasy there. We've got a shot of Dr. Ulrich obviously explaining the situation to someone else and having a good old chuckle when it's not his cars, of course.
The conditions really difficult out there. The leaders now lapping is 3 minutes 47, so they're 20 seconds off the times they were running earlier on in this race.
Yeah, it's really difficult. One of those cars as well came back on there and tagged one of the ones who actually made the Dunlop S there. But very exciting indeed.
Well, I'm wondering whether we're going to start getting a view change in terms of selection of tyres. So far, everyone's been taking slicks or trick slicks, the near slicks that we've been talking about a little bit earlier on. Whether that will change if this rain does become more heavy. It's very light as we speak. We'll take a break and we'll be back with the Damien Faulkner weather update as to what this rain actually is. Welcome back. It's all kicking off here, and the weather is taking a huge toll and shredding the nerves of a number of drivers. We've just seen Kobayashi, incidentally, get into, or at least tangle with lightly, the 66 car. Both of them took a spin on the re-entry to the start-finish straight here, directly in front of us. It is very skittery out there, and we've got the 33 car coming in. I don't know whether they're running for wets here, Jeremy. It just doesn't seem wet enough. But Martin Haven was alluding earlier on to the fact that down the some of the long straights that we've got here, tyres can just fail to maintain their temperature, and it gets even more skittery. The first sign of rain, usually they're diving into the pits for wets. Yeah, it is very slippery out there, and you're talking there about number 33 car Ryan Briscoe, he's up into 5th place in P2, and certainly running very well there for Level 5 Motorsports. They've been somewhat down the order during practice and qualifying here, but I spoke to Jeff Brown, the lead engineer for Level 5 Motorsports, about an hour before the start of the race. He said, we don't really know where we are because we've had very little running since we got here. The cars, of course, as we see number 8 car coming onto pit lane, the 2nd place car. Level 5 Motorsports
They've not done much testing with this low downforce package for Le Mans, but they were pretty confident, and they're particularly confident in their Michelin tyres, as we see the number 8 car, Anthony Davidson, making his 3rd pit stop of the day.
Well, he doesn't look like he's going anywhere.
No, he doesn't, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying in, Anthony Davidson. Yes, he was quite dismayed by the early running of the car, but yeah, it settled down. And in fact, if the intermittent problem, well, it'll have to happen again for Lapierre, reveals itself, then all hope will rest with the likes of Anthony Davidson in this 8 car.
So Anthony Davidson, he will stay on the same set of tyres there, Anthony Davidson. Once again, 12 laps on this stint for the Toyota, so just one more lap than the Audi. That's not going to be enough to make any kind of a significant difference, I believe, as this race unfolds.
Yeah, well, they spoke about the Audi having to be 1.5 seconds per lap faster, I think, if they were able to do, I think it was 2 laps longer. But of course, they're not able to do that, as you say, and they're more than 1.5 seconds quicker per lap in any case. So.
By the way, you just talked about the number 71 car having that spin, Kamui Kobayashi. He was running, and actually still is running, 5th place in GT. So the GT class still led by Darren Turner in car number 97. Rob Bell in the number 99 Aston Martin has got past the 3rd place car of Romain Dumas. Now he's driving that car. We're hearing reports of heavy rain out on the Mulsanne Straight.
Well, if that's where it is, it's going to scare the pants off them when they get to the bottom of it. A couple of chicanes to deal with as well. I'm just wondering whether we're going to see a whole raft of changes fairly shortly. It's going to be a question of who dives first, I suspect. You may need your flippers as well if this carries on.
Well, it depends what sort of rain it is. Is it wet rain? Is it dry rain? Misty rain? Irish rain?
It's Lotterer, McNish and de Grazzi, 1, 2 and 3 at the moment. Lapierre and Davidson has just made his stop. In fact, Davidson has 3 stops, so he's the nearest to the Audis at the moment. Lapierre at the end of his run, and will be coming in fairly shortly. We're just hooking up with Lotterer in the 1 car as we speak. Well, it's been clean running, thank goodness, for some time now, and it's honours even, it seems. I'm also starting to look and see that the Corvettes and the Vipers still having their troubles. This car, the 67 car, has an issue, starting to delaminate at the back,
and that
puncture, does not look nice. Is he going to be able to get all the way, or is he going to start damaging the vehicle?
Well, I think it looks like he's in the Porsche curves there, so it looks like he's nearly home anyway, but he wants to get, oh, and there it goes, completely delaminated. So that's probably not bad, actually, because you know, the risk is that you'll damage a lot of the car, a lot of the bodywork, even the suspension, brake lines and stuff like that. So it is imperative, actually, that he goes slowly enough that he doesn't do that damage, but obviously keeps the pace until he gets back. You can see him squirming all over the place. It's really difficult now. There's only 3 wheels on his wagon, so he does want to be careful. He's just very, very close now to the pit entrance.
Certainly is, and he's made it. He's limping in. Just look at the back end chattering, slewing all over the place. The tyres holding on, and so is he. It's a handful in very, very tricky conditions. Joining us in the box, it's guest time. It's Darren Cox from Nissan. He's been a busy boy of late.
The Global Motorsports Director for Nissan Motorsports, and Darren Cox, boy, some exciting times for you. We'll come back to you in a minute. First of all, we see the number 67 car with a punctured left rear tyre, and you can see Damien Faulkner, that's caused a little damage to the rear corner as well.
Yeah, it just looks like it doesn't look like significant damage, but there's certainly some damage just there on the left rear.
Let's get back down to the pit lane.
Neil Janney from the number 12 Rebellion car. I understand you're waiting at the moment to just decide what tyres are going to go on and when you're going to get into the car based on these tricky conditions.
Yeah, exactly, because we don't know if it will still rain or dry out. Apparently it seems like there are still some showers coming, and Nick is out on the intermediates, so we'll leave him out so that hopefully when we do a driver change we can also go back onto the slicks.
Well, so far it looks like the Rebellion cars are very strong against the fight with Audi and Toyota in these conditions. Are you confident that you can keep pushing them all the way?
Well, we just want to be close enough to benefit if something happens, and that's our aim. We know on outright pace we won't beat them, but just stay close enough to benefit if something happens.
Great, we wish you luck. Thank you.
Thanks to this Halliday with Neil Jarney there as we see the number 7 car onto pit lane. 38 laps completed, 39 laps completed. So once again, that is a 12-lap stint for the Toyota. So we see the Audis making 11-lap stints now rather than the 10 that we thought and we saw in the first all-green stint in this race. So just 1 lap difference between those two. Here comes Neil Jarney's car. Nick Heidfeld aboard it, coming to make his pit stop, and he is already... he's still on the lead lap. He's a couple of minutes behind the overall race leader, Andre Lotterer, who has 51 seconds in hand over Alan McNish in the second of the Audi's car number 2. While that pit stopping is going on down there at the Rebellion pit, once again, Darren Cox is with us, the Global Motorsports Director for Nissan. And Darren, very exciting times for you. You are leading the P2 class and looking very strong in that wonderfully competitive category.
It's a great category. You know, a few years ago people were saying LMP2 wouldn't survive. Look at it now, 22 cars, a great mixture of chassis, 15 of our engines, but the most exciting thing for me is the backgrounds of the drivers you've got out there. You know, you go through a Mike Conway, a Lucas Luhr, you know, very different backgrounds to some of the others, a Manassian. You know, it's fantastic to see the driver lineups that you've got there, different backgrounds coming and racing against each other in this fantastic category. Yeah, it is great. And more news from you. Yesterday you announced your project, the Garage 56 project. Last year, of course, it was the Nissan Delta Wing that took that spot, the 56 garage here at Le Mans, for exciting new technologies. This year it's supposed to be the Green GT. That didn't make it, but next year we know we're going to have another proper Garage 56 entrant. Yeah, I mean, Garage 56 is another example of what this race means, you know, the spirit of Le Mans and the innovation of the ACO, inviting manufacturers and independents to come along and bring a car that's outside of the rules. And of course, this is at a time when rules in motorsport becoming more and more restrictive and more irrelevant to road car technology. So, you know, we see out there today, whether it be diesel engines, hybrids, V8s, you know, all sorts of configurations of drivetrains, etc. And, you know, really, it's great to see that the spirit of innovation is out there. And Garage 56 is the ultimate spirit of innovation. You can build a car that's completely outside of the rules.
And the car, tell us a little bit about the car for next year. It's going to be designed once again by Ben Bowlby, who's done a lot of exciting designs over the years for various different projects. He, of course, was the instigator of the Delta Wing, and certainly there's going to be more than a few passing similarities to the initial Delta Wing project.
Yeah, Ben's a really great guy. He's got a very similar mindset to our engineers at Nissan, and it was probably you know, not a surprise that he in the end comes to work with us, and he's working on various different projects for us, because, you know, we are about innovative road cars and race cars, so it's great to have him on board as part of the engineering team at Nissan.
Yeah, we're going to come back to Darren Cox in just a minute. We're getting ready for a break here on Eurosport. We see there the number 1 car, Andre Lotterer, a handy lead, 3 minutes 36 last time around. We see these changeable conditions, the lap times ebbing and flowing as the rain comes and goes. About 5 minutes ago we heard about some heavy rain on the Mulsanne Straight. Well, that seems to have cleared away again now. These are really difficult conditions, but by and large, drivers doing a super job. Glad you're with us here on Eurosport. Don't go away, we're back very shortly. Welcome back to Eurosport's coverage of the 81st running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. You missed nothing. Andre Lotterer still leads by now 46 seconds over Alan McNish, car number 2. So numbers 1, 2 and 3, the 3 Audis out at the top front of the field. Lucas de Grassi driving car number 3. He's about 3.5 seconds behind Alan McNish, and actually closed last lap on by almost 3 seconds. In P2, it's Alex Brundle that leads in the Oak Racing car number 24, the Orica Nissan chassis. In second place, teammate Ricardo Gonzalez now at the wheel of the number 35 car. In GT, it is Darren Turner who leads for Aston Martin number 97 over the sister car, the number 99 car, with Rob Bell at the wheel. In a GTE AM class, Marco Chiocchi leads in car number 61 for AF Corsa, the Ferrari, and Lorenzo Carse in car number 55, also for Ferrari, in second place. Patrick Dempsey is at the wheel of the number 77 car, the Actor Racer, in third place. Darren Cox, the Global Motorsports Director for Nissan, is here. And Darren, you guys have made a big thing of doing all sorts of interesting things for the fans. They can really get involved in motor racing, get into the sport and learn more about it. Tell us a little bit about the Nismo fan zone that is down there in the karting centre right here at the track at Le Mans.
Well, anyone that's been to Le Mans will tell you that half of the attraction of the race is actually off track, as well as the fantastic pictures you're getting on track here. And certainly when it gets dark, the place takes on an amazing atmosphere. And our brand is about being accessible to people, so what better than trying to give the fans that are here a better experience and some insight into what we're doing. So yeah, the fan zone you mentioned is something new for this year. We have the Nismo Lab, which again is something new, and basically you can go, if you're at the track, come down and see if you've got what it takes to become a Nismo athlete. We now call our graduates from the GT Academy Nismo athletes, and we've got various tests down there, some of which I wouldn't want to do, to see if you're good enough to become a Nismo athlete. So for example, a brainwave monitor to see how you can concentrate on how you're driving. And it's a very interesting opportunity to go down there, and you can win things like having helicopter rides and everything else.
Sorry, Darren, do they have the BATAC machine?
The BATAC machine's down there, so it's all about having reaction times, it's having brainwaves, how do you react to certain things, and the winner of your group, so 5 of you go through in a group, the winner of your group gets to drive on the base performance simulator around this circuit, a full professional simulator, and as well as people winning the chance to go out on circuit tour, so to go around to the first chicane at the Mulsanne, really just to see other parts of the race, and that's what it's all about. A lot of people here that are bought in, that maybe aren't motor racing fans, go to the corporate hospitality and they watch the race from afar. You miss out on everything about this race. It's so special to be able to go out to the Mulsanne and watch these cars doing what they do.
That's a brilliant initiative, I have to say. Wish I was younger.
So do I. And GT Academy, we've been running that for 5 years, and what we're very happy about is that we had 2 years ago a young man called Jan Mardenborough, who was here for the first time as a fan. We brought him here to show him what Le Mans was all about, and 2 years later he's here racing the car. He started our car because he was the fastest out of our 3 drivers in qualifying, and he did a great job. Didn't put a wheel wrong, and we're tracking the leaders at the moment. We've got Lucas Ordonez, another winner of our GT Academy, in the car.
Darren Cox, thanks so much for joining us here. Thanks for all you guys do for the sport, and best of luck for the rest of this race. This is Jeremy Shaw. David Faulkner is alongside me, and also Carlton Kirby. I think Mark Cole might be stepping in now. I hate to tell you this, but we just got some awful news through that Alan Simonsen has died as a result of that crash at Tete Rouge in the early stages of this race. Alan Simonsen, 34 years old, excuse me, originally from Denmark, had made most of his life in Australia for many, many years. Awful lot of success in all sorts of different categories. Starting off in Formula 4 in his native Denmark. He went on to win championships in Australia, was the Australian GT champion in 2007. He's had success here in the past. Had two podium finishes at Le Mans. Just awful news that Alan Simonsen who was driving the number 95 Aston Martin Vantage with his countrymen Christopher Nygaard and Christian Poulsen, unfortunately has died as a result of that accident earlier in this race.
That's very, very sad news. You never want to, you know, as a fellow racer, you never want to see that. What can you say?
Yeah, I've been around the sport. I've been around the sport for you know, over 40 years now, effectively, and I've been incredibly fortunate. When I first started out, Mark Cole, and you were involved for a few years, certainly several years before me. Back in those days, it was kind of commonplace that we'd hear awful news like this. And there's another off there. Was that at Mulsanne corner? Yeah, the yellow flag's down there at, I think that's Mulsanne. It's used to happen on a fairly regular basis, but nowadays, as we see the number 36 car, that is the Alpine car, of the wheel of that car right now is shown as Tristan Gomondy. Actually, that's a surprise. One of the more experienced drivers in that car. He's put that car into the gravel. We used to have awful news like this on a regular basis back in the day, but there's been so many advances in safety to this sport over the last 40 years. Now it's very much of a rarity, and like I say, I've been involved in this sport for 40 odd years, and just in the last sort of 15 years, I've really only happened to me twice that I've had to experience this actually on air, when somebody has had a horrendous accident like this. My thoughts go back now to Jeff Krosnoff in the Champ cars, and Gonzalo Rodriguez and Greg Moore, of course. But it happens so rarely these days, it's all the more shocking.
Yeah, Joe Gartner was the standout one. Was killed in the Kramer Porsche on the Mulsanne straight. I can't quite recall the year at the moment without looking up, around 86, 87.
Yeah,
but the only fatality since then was on the test day, Sebastian Enjolras, who was driving one of those one-piece WMs, and a tragically young guy who died down at the Porsche curves, and his father, who was at that time director of Citroen's rally program, was actually on the Tour de Corse, and they had to break the news to him that his son had been killed here. So our thoughts are certainly with everybody at Aston Martin, with the Simonson family and all his friends and fans. Very, very sad day.
Yeah, literally all around the world, because like I say, he was born here in early years in Denmark, still had very strong Danish connections, but also many strong roots in Australia as well, and really good guy. And I was speaking to young David Leslie's son, who's working on that car. What's David Leslie's son's name? Graham, isn't it?
It's Graham. Graham would be the one here.
He was working on that car. I saw Graham this morning, and he was saying how much fun it was being working with those guys on that car. You know, the mechanics, the team worked so hard to get these cars ready, and young Graham is a fabulous character, and he'll be heartbroken, I know, of course. But our thoughts, as you say, Mark Cole, go out to that family and indeed to the entire Aston Martin racing team. They've got 4 other cars in this race. They're running 1-2 in the pro category at the moment, with Darren Turner ahead of Robert Bell.
And the best thing they can do, I think, Damon, is continue, win the race and dedicate it to him.
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. You know, as we see the number 36 there waddling around. Has he got a loose wheel or something? No, he's fine. Yeah, you know, we all know the dangers. And I think we've all sort of seen it before, but as Jeremy has alluded to, you know, it's thankfully so rare these days. The safety of these cars is phenomenal, but you know, unfortunately, these things do happen, and yeah, absolutely, you know, our thoughts go to.
We don't know what
involved.
happened though. It must have been something freaky, because yes, it was a heavy impact. Tete Rouge, it was it's kind of a double apex corner nowadays, and in between those two apexes, the car slide out wide, and we've heard and we've seen that Simonson's car got out wide and got a little bit on the outside, on the dirt on the outside. He lost it there, and a heavy impact on the left-hand side of the wall.
Now we're just hearing as a stop-and-go penalty for car 71. This goes back about an hour. Tony Verlander was released from the pits right in front of a Porsche, put the Porsche almost into the wall, and he's just been given a stop-and-go penalty in the number 71 car. Now, how's that going to affect that car? That is running in 5th place at the moment in GT Pro. Kobayashi's on board that car at the moment, so that's going to spoil their race for a while.
I'm amazed it's only a stop and go, quite frankly, because there's no excuse for waving out a car in front of another one in the pit lane. We saw, I was in the Toyota pit early on in a race when both cars actually had to be held you know, they weren't released until they had clear exit out of pits. Here's a replay of what happened. It was the number 91 car, Jörg Bergmeister. It wasn't Jörg Bergmeister driving that, was it?
It was Mark Lieb at that time.
Yeah, Mark Lieb at that time, absolutely. And you can see there that the Ferrari just drove straight out. Porsche, he's on his rev limiter going down the pit lane.
Well, he is, yeah, and I think by the looks of that replay, I mean, I spoke about it earlier, because I imagined Mark, or whoever was driving the Porsche, would have seen him, but I think he probably thought he was going to stay in the second lane.
Sure, that's what he should have done.
Yeah, so obviously he's paid the price for that.
It's not a wide pit lane here at Le Mans, of course. It's not as wide as many other tracks we go to, but still, you know, it's up to the responsibility of the guy leaving the pit lane to clear the cars that are already on the pit lane.
And the team, yes, to release him, of course.
We're back with Eurosport live here at Le Mans, the 81st running of the race that this year celebrates its 90th anniversary, the first in 1923. And very sad news. You just heard in the last break, if you're just joining us, Danish-Australian driver Alan Simonsen has succumbed to injuries when his Aston Martin crashed heavily at Tertre Rouge early in the race, bringing out a long safety car period. And as we said, our thoughts to everyone in Aston Martin, his family and all his friends. Andre Lotterer then continuing to lead from Alain McNish and Luca de Grassi, Audi 1-2-3, Toyota 4 and 5, and Lapierre in that number 7 car, who was delayed a little bit earlier on. Car, everything seemed to cut out, and we just wondered if it's a repeat of the problems Sebastian Buemi had the other night with gear selector problems. What they'd normally do, Damien, just reboot the system, don't they, if there's a failure like that? And luckily it picked up and continued. He didn't even come in the pits.
No, I think the problem the other night was you could hear the engine revving, and so obviously he didn't have any drive, but the engine was still going. As we just see out our pit box here, the number 2 Audi pitting of McNish pitting for the what is this, the 4th time?
4th stop, yeah, he's done 4 stints, so presumably we're going to get a driver change now.
Alan, box this time, full service.
Full service.
Full service.
I assume that's a message to McNish. The fact he's already in the pit lane and they're saying box this time probably shows there's a slight delay, so they can't tip off the other teams, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if they're running what's called a repeater. I'm not sure what sort of radios they have, but I think there's a delay. Certainly if there's a track this big, they have to have another or more stronger signal. And I'm not sure if they use what's called a repeater system anyway in the US. Some of the teams use it there for some of the longer or more undulating circuits like, you know, Road America or Laguna Seca or whatever, but there is a delay. So I'm not sure if that's what they use. But anyway, out goes McNish and in climbs.
That will be just identifying the helmet of whether it's Duval or Christensen.
I think it looks like Duval.
Yeah. Well, Duval, of course, the man who has been fastest man at Le Mans for the last 3 years. 2 fastest laps, 2011, 2012, and then pole this year. Another slow car. Is that a puncture on the right front? And it's Duval, well spotted. It's not a puncher. This is the 41 car. This is Tom Kimber-Smith on board, and this is the
Caterham Greaves car.
Yeah, it's the Caterham Greaves. Is that the Zytek? It said Tom Kimber-Smith, but they're showing Alexander Rossi on board that Zytek at the moment.
Yes, because I think it's his outlap, actually. I think Alexander's just taken over from Tom Kimber-Smith, perhaps. It's shown as the outlap, and that's a shame, because that car was running in the top 10 in P2. Class still led by the 2 Oak Racing cars. Number 24, Alex Brundle at the wheel of that car that was started so impressively by Olivier Pla. Ricardo Gonzalez has taken over the number 35 car, doing a super job there in second place. And in third place now is Ryan Briscoe in that level 5 HPD. Boy, Ryan Briscoe is coming on strong. And also kind of in his tow as well is Mike Conway aboard number 26 car, the G-Drive car for Delta ADR Racing.
Well, this is just going past that crawling Zytek, and no white flags, Damien. Normally get a white flag for the slow car.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just amazed by the incredible speed of that Audi that was coming up, overtaking everything there. I mean, the closing speeds are just phenomenal.
In comes Andre Lotterer, full service as well, of course.
Full service.
No, we beat Lena to it, didn't we? Full service. So will Fassler,
we've predicted it.
Trellet overtaking him.
And I bet you the number 3 will be in this lap as well.
Yeah, well they've all triple stinted and 4 stinted. They've all 4 stinted in fact. So very, very impressive. So we're what, Jeremy, 2 hours 40 minutes into the race. Okay, 40 minutes of that time was under safety cars, but even so, just shows the longevity of tyres nowadays, doesn't it, and of drivers.
Yeah, absolutely right. And we'll see now whether I think everybody's going to make on full service this time. I presume the Toyotas as well. The Toyotas have only made 3 pit stops, but here comes now the number 3 car. So they're still on the same schedule as they have been since the beginning of the race. Lap 46, this is for numbers 3 and number 1. The last time they came onto pit lane was lap 35. So for the second stint in a row, 11 laps completed by the Audi R18 e-tron Quattro Trio. All 3 cars, 11 laps for this stint. We can expect the Toyotas to make their stops, not for a couple of laps, possibly 3. They came in last time on laps 34 and 5, I think it was. Yeah,
that's exactly what's expected. Damien, while I was away, what was Anthony Davidson's lappage after his first stop? You remember second stop?
They were getting, I think we counted 12 laps.
12 laps, yeah. 15 to 27.
So they're just getting one lap more than the Audi.
Yeah, that's what we reckon, 12. Didn't Carlton said there was a hint they might be able to get 13 if they tried hard enough and stretched it out. Anyway, Michelin Green Challenge, just mention that. The top 3 cars in that is the economy run part of the Le Mans 24 Hours, if you like. Car number 8 is topping that at the moment. Anthony Davidson, that's miles covered for fuel. So it does show Toyota has the fuel edge at the moment. The number 3 car of Degrassi second, and the number 1 car of Trellet in third place. So Toyota best on fuel, Jeremy.
Yeah, because I don't know whether is that real time? Does that take into account what they? Because I mean, they've made 1 less pit stop so far. So it'll be interesting to see how that whether those numbers equalise after the round of pit stops when they've all done the same number of stops. But you're right that they are certainly getting better fuel consumption at this stage.
And back in the GTM, you've got Marco Ciocci who's retaken that lead after presumably Wolf Henzer has done his pit stop.
Yeah, so ebbs and flows there. I think we saw the Ferraris running first and second. In third place, actually, it was Patrick Dempsey. So actually, Wolf Henzer has moved up to third place ahead of Patrick Dempsey for third place. Third and fourth places in GTE AM.
We think there is a risk of drizzle soon, then keep going, keep going.
It's radio communication, sorry.
About debris?
That was, no, it was about rain to the number 7.
Rain, not
Toyota of Nicolas Lapierre.
Yeah.
So he was told there was a risk of rain very soon, so keep going.
Well, it's on our window in the commentary box at the Ford chicanes,
So
which is at the final corners, so it's coming again.
Spots of rain we've had all the way through this race, on and off, sometimes a bit more heavier than others. Never enough to get the track fully wet, but still makes things very, very tricky for the drivers.
Has anyone actually put wet tyres on yet in
I
this
don't
race?
believe so.
No, they've all managed to get through on slicks, haven't they?
Certainly none of the leading contenders. I'm not sure whether the number 30 HVM Sanders car might have done. I don't know, that's conjecture. He came in and did two pit stops fairly close together. Whether it was a puncture or whether they changed tyres, I'm afraid I don't know. Just been handed an official statement from the Automobile Club de l'Ouest. At 15:09, the number 95 Aston Martin Vantage GTE, driven by Alan Simonsen of Denmark, exited the track at high speed at the Tête Rouge corner on his fourth lap of the race. The driver was immediately attended on the scene by doctors from the Automobile Club de l'Ouest Medical Service. In a serious condition, Alan Simonsen was transferred immediately to the Circuit Medical Centre, where he died soon after due to his injuries. Alan Simonsen's family has been informed immediately by David Richards, principal of the Aston Martin racing team. Alan Simonsen, an experienced driver, age 34, had taken part in 7 24 du Mans. This was his 7th start in the Le Mans 24 Hours. His teammates in number 95 car were his fellow countrymen Christopher Nygaard and Christian Poulsen. The Automobile Club de l'Ouest wishes to express its great sadness following this incident and extend its deepest condolences to the family and those close to Alan Simonsen. The Automobile Club de l'Ouest will make no further statement while the exact reasons for the accidents are still being wholly determined. We, of course, add our sympathies as well. A tragic day here at Le Mans.
And of course we will make no conjecture on that either. I mean, we'll leave that to all the official investigations. Thank you very much for that, Jeremy. 54 car we've just seen crawling back onto the track, one of the AF Course customer Ferraris. That's the all-rookie car of Yannick Malagol, Jean-Marc Bachelet and American Howard Blank. I don't know who's on board at the moment. I think they're just off our screens, aren't they, at 54? And they're 13th in class in GT. The rain's back, as you can see. This is people watching at the Dunlop curves, and look at it, going under the Dunlop Bridge.
Yeah, really tricky out there. Damien, I know you'd much rather be taking part in the race rather than being with us here in the Eurosport booth, but conditions this?
No, you guys are great. I have to say, no, it's...
Conditions like this, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something you have to go through, you know, it's part and parcel of what we do. But, you know, it's difficult here. And just getting back to tyre wear there, with the long straights here, the tyres get a chance to cool down, so it's probably not overly excessive on tyre wear, which is why they quadrupled stint.
Yeah, we're being told there's gravel all over the track at the exit from Mulsanne corner. That's been dragged there by that AF Course Ferrari. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back after these messages. Stay with us live here on Eurosport. Back with Eurosport live at the Le Mans 24 Hours, and as you can see, the rain clouds are starting to dump. The most rain we've had probably this race this afternoon. The Toyota goes straight on at the Dunlop S's on board that car with that was
Anthony Davidson.
Yeah, that's Davidson, and Davidson, yeah, sorry, in second place at the moment as we scroll for the pit stops. Both of the Toyotas have both yet to make their fourth stop and get full services, but Anthony just couldn't turn in there. Just absolutely no front grip at all on slicks, Damien.
Yeah, you could just see the front tyre momentarily locking up as he tried to come off it before it would swap ends. And probably a good save there by Anthony. But yeah, just treacherous conditions up there. We've seen that since the beginning of the race. Lots of people going off approaching the Dunlop curve there.
And we've had a number of we've got a number of flags out showing it's wet at various parts of the circuit, but other places still dry.
Yeah, but you know what? In fairness, when there's a few drops, they'll put those flags out to tell people that it's slippy or raining. But you know, with the cars going at the speeds they're going, the tires at the temperature, it takes quite a bit of rain to make a difference. So just because you see a flag like that, you know, like I said before, it's an instinctive feel that each driver has, and that will tell them when to slow down a bit or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it really is tricky out there. Just last lap around, Mike Conway was super fast.
Just to prove my point, it's just an absolute nightmare to drive with these bloody tyres in this condition. So hard. Rain dry, rain dry. I much prefer to drive on an intermediate on the dry than a slick in the wet.
Wow, that was
Anthony Davidson there.
Fantastic direct message there, wasn't it? A fantastic insight as to what he's thinking, and it took him so long to relay that message, but it was so crisp and clear, and it just gives you a fantastic perspective of you know, where he's sitting and what he's feeling. So obviously he's on the slicks, and he would like to have the intermediates because it's wet and dry.
Well,
like we see.
He is due for a service, and so too is the other car, Nick Napier. They're still only on 3 stops. All 3 Audis have made 4 stops, so let's just see how that pans out. Here's the 2 Oak Morgans running together, having a great afternoon, aren't they? Brundle and Gonzalez running together at the moment, 1 and 2 in class, and as Jeremy just pointed out, the Eureka Nissan of Mike Conway putting in a blinding lap a moment to go, 4 seconds quicker than these two.
That's the 6th place car. Nick Heidfeld has tweaked the left front